Y nuestro siguiente participante es el señor Patrick Goodness. Patrick Goodness es una persona a la que vi en una ocasión y luego lo vi en otro país, muchos kilómetros más lejos de allí. Y luego nuevamente me lo volví a encontrar en Chicago y tiene la particularidad de que es un líder del mercado, se encuentra con la gente, la aglomera y pues tiene su propio evangelio comercial, por decirlo de alguna manera. El señor Patrick trabaja en mercadotecnia y también en imagen corporativa de las compañías.
All right, looks like we're ready to go. First of all, good afternoon, everyone. Yo voy a tratarlo otra vez. Good afternoon, everyone. Okay, let's do this. My name is Patrick Goodness. I am the CEO of the Goodness Company, and we have an international marketing, graphic design, and public relations agency, and we're specifically focused on global healthcare, medical tourism for dentists, doctors, hospitals, and travel professionals around the world. We have clients throughout the world. Most of our clients are in Latin America, but we have offices in the United States and in Costa Rica. And it's really a pleasure to be here today for a couple of reasons. First of all, we're almost neighbors. In Costa Rica, we have been leading the charge for many years in medical tourism. And in my conversations with friends in Panama, it's often been the case that they're excited about the potential of medical tourism, but not really sure how to take the next step. So I was thrilled to receive an invitation from Luis at Salud Panama to offer this opportunity to talk about medical tourism marketing. Because you can have absolutely incredible facilities. You can have the best doctors. You can have the best care available. And there's only one problem. If you don't know how to reach your customer, you're never going to be successful in medical tourism, because everything that we're talking about is predicated on one thing, and that's communication. And communication is the tool by which we build relationships. And so today, everything that I'm going to talk about is healthcare relationship marketing. I'm going to propose to you today that what we're not interested in is selling. You're doctors. You are hospital administrators. You're not salespeople. But what you should be is professional relationship builders. What you should be focused on every minute of your day is building relationships with your customers, with your patients. And so when we focus on building relationships, the resultant effect is exactly what you want, and that is increased sales. But if we focus only on sales, the resultant effect is opposite of what you want, which is a customer that perceives you as pushy, a customer that perceives you as only interested in the sale, and that's counter to our goals in medical tourism. What I would propose to you is that what we're really looking at doing is educating customers, educating patients about choices. Because at the end, we want our patients to say one word. That one word is yes. Everything that we do is focused on getting our patients to say yes. And in order to do that, we have to build relationships. Oh, it's working. To succeed in the medical tourism market, we need to focus on the customer, on the consumer. And for the purpose of our conversation today, we're going to call it the patient or patient consumer. Now, whether or not you are a doctor, a hospital administrator, or a medical tourism facilitator, or anyone involved in this process, your goal is to reach the consumer. It's not to reach anyone else in the process. It's to have a conversation to build a relationship with the consumer. Today, patients are playing a much more active role in our health. And I'm speaking particularly about the United States and Canada. It wasn't only about 20 years ago when everything that we learned about healthcare in the United States and Canada, we learned from our doctors. When we had a problem, we went to our doctors. When we had a concern, we went to our doctors. But today, patients are playing an increased role in their own health. They're deciding whether or not they need to see a doctor. They're taking healthcare into their own hands. And it's a very interesting trend. There was actually one drug that changed the way we look at healthcare today. And the drug is Viagra. That drug changed the face of healthcare in the United States of America and Canada for one simple reason. They were able to go, for the first time, a pharmaceutical company decided not to go through doctors, not to go through hospitals. But what they did is they went directly to television. And they said, men, if you have a problem getting an erection, talk to your doctor. The doctors weren't going to have this conversation. And very few men actually went to their doctors and talked about erectile dysfunction. But when the television commercials came out and they showed these active, energetic men who had almost perfect lives, everything looked perfect. They had a beautiful wife, great job, they're all playing golf on the golf courses. The only problem was they couldn't get an erection. Well, the men said, that's me, I have this problem. So I'm going to go and talk to my doctor about it. And the doctors then received all of his interest from these men who were watching the television commercials. The sales of Viagra went through the roof, and today it's really seen as a changing case in healthcare, because it was for the first time in American history that a pharmaceutical company had gone out directly to the public to market a product, to market a pharmaceutical that the doctors would then have to respond. And when a man came to the doctor and said, I want Viagra, there may have been alternatives, but the man was not going to accept any alternatives. He wanted Viagra, and that was the drug that he wanted. So today, it's really seen as a change that Americans and Canadians are much more engaged in our own health care. And that's important for us in marketing. Okay. In the United States, we have a market of over 45 million uninsured Americans. Now, I'm going to talk about a number of markets, but primarily for our talk today, we want to learn about the North American marketplace. We want to learn about how can we build a relationship with Americans and Canadians. 45 million Americans need affordable health care, which makes them predisposed to say yes to medical tourism. One of the conditions of success in medical tourism early on, particularly today, is that there are a great number of people who simply cannot afford health care in the United States. Consequently, medical tourism is an option. Looking outside of their home country is an option. There are really 6 steps by which we get someone interested in medical tourism. And these 6 steps are very basic. Number 1 is getting them to recognize that they might be interested in going outside of their country for medical care. Number 2 is making them feel comfortable with the country where they're looking at the care. Number 3 is getting them comfortable with the city of the care. Number 4 is getting them comfortable with the facility or the region, and then the facility, and then the doctor. In order to really succeed in medical tourism, you can have great facilities, you can have a wonderful city, a wonderful culture, everything can be perfect, but if you're not creating relationships between your doctors and the patients, I don't know anyone who has said, I'm going to go to this hospital in this country to get a procedure, but I don't know anything about the doctor who's going to give me that procedure. It's critical that as physicians, all of you who are doctors, can I get a raise of hands of how many doctors we have in the room? Great. It's critical for all of you to be involved in the patient process. This is an active decision-making process, and if your goal is to build relationships, the question becomes, how can you have a relationship with someone that you're not willing to talk to? How can you have a relationship with someone that you're not willing to spend at least a few minutes having a Skype phone call or an email with? These are critical pieces of the conversation, and physicians need to be involved in the process, because no matter how good your health care may be, if you're not communicating the quality of your health care, you will never succeed in medical tourism. So the first industry is the uninsured. Now, the second industry group that we look at, really for today's medical tourism, the majority of people who are leaving the United States and Canada for medical care are leaving the country and going elsewhere for cosmetic dentistry, plastic surgery, bariatric treatments, and fertility treatments. Now, orthopedic is close behind, but when we look at these, for the most part, excluding bariatrics, but even bariatrics as well, these are minimally invasive procedures. So, for those of you who are heart surgeons or doing transplant surgeries, there will be a time to really focus on these markets. But today, to get the general public interested in medical tourism, what we're focusing on are really these markets: cosmetic dentistry, plastic surgery, bariatric treatments, and fertility treatments. Number one, because they're the highest likelihood for someone to go outside of the country for those procedures. Number two, they're the most minimally invasive. And we call this, the process is brand leveraging. So let's say that you want someone to do a heart surgery, but they haven't yet proven expertise in your country for doing dental care. What's the likelihood that someone's going to decide to leave home to get a heart surgery when they haven't seen successful evidence yet that you can take care of their teeth? Slim to none. And the same thing happens with fertility treatments, with plastic surgery. So we start out with dental care, and then we leverage the success from that to plastic surgery. And then when they're interested and they've seen success in plastic surgery, then bariatric, fertility treatments. And from there, once we've proven expertise at a facility to handle these kinds of treatments, then we're able to pave the way to more invasive procedures. These are some marketing basics. Now, that's not going to figure for everyone. Some of you are excellent at liver transplants, at heart surgeries, and that's exactly what you should focus on. But it's important to be aware that there's a process of getting to know a patient and helping a patient get to know you, and that if you're in fact focusing on heart care, it's going to take more time. It takes much less time to convince someone to come down and to get dental work done than it would be to convince someone to bring their child down for an open heart surgery. And so recognizing the amount of energy it takes is an important part of the marketing process. Because if you're not willing to invest that time in the relationship, you're going to be frustrated, your patient's going to be frustrated, and the opportunity is going to be lost. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about relationship marketing. Everything that we do should be focused on relationship marketing. We recognize, as a business owner myself, I recognize that one thing drives our business. And we're all in this for one reason. Obviously, we care about our patients. You wouldn't be a doctor, you wouldn't be involved in healthcare if you weren't interested in caring for your patients. But we have to recognize, honestly, that we're really here also to make a profit. The reason that we're interested in providing international care for international patients is because we're interested in building a stronger business. We want to increase our profits. And we believe that medical tourism might be a way to accomplish that. And what I'd like to propose to you is that better relationships equal better profits. And so if we stop focusing on profits for a while, and we focus only on the basics of relationship marketing, I will show you, I'll prove to you, how by focusing on relationships and not on profits, you'll actually achieve just the opposite. You'll have a great increase in profits, and you'll also achieve that long term. Because the real challenge here isn't in building a relationship one time. It's not in having one person come down for a procedure one time. The key is the lifetime of treatments. As our speakers have talked about earlier today, as Pramod has spoken about earlier, what you really want to do is to build a relationship with people that lasts a lifetime. And if we're able to start with clients and patients at the ages of 30, 35, 40, we have a lifetime of opportunities. People live into their 80s and 90s today, that we might be able to have these patients come back to us for multiple procedures, particularly as we look at dental care, plastic surgery. Doctor here could probably admit to the fact that when someone has one plastic surgery, the likelihood that they come back for others is greatly increased. And that's the key. When it's done well, we build clients for lifetimes. And that's really what we want to accomplish. So what is the strongest human emotional need? It's the need to belong. And if we think about this, the need to belong should drive every single decision we make in marketing. So Maslow was a psychologist, a great psychologist. He created a hierarchy, a pyramid. And these are the needs. And we talk about the greatest needs for mankind. The greatest single physiological need is thirst, hunger, shelter. Those are the basic needs that we need to cover. The next one is safety and security. Do you feel safe and secure? That's a physiological need. So as we're thinking about bringing clients to our country, one of the greatest physiological needs that we have to fulfill, and they're going to feel in their bones, is do they feel safe and secure? If you haven't created, through your marketing and through your patient programs, a way for these patients to feel safe and secure, they will not come. I don't care how great your pricing is or how great your surgery is, if you cannot make your patients feel safe and secure, they will never come. No one will take the risk. Now that is a physiological need. Now when we focus on emotional needs, the need to belong, it's the reason we're actually, all of us are here today, is predicated on this need to belong. We attend conferences like this, we go to the places, we send our children to the schools where we want them to belong. We join clubs, we join golf clubs, swimming clubs, we do all of these things for one basic need, and that is to belong. Everything that we do in marketing should be focused on helping patients feel like they belong. Like when they arrive at our facilities, they know that they've arrived at home. When you can accomplish that, and you can do that through your marketing, when you can do that through your website, when you can do that through your videos, you have accomplished one of the greatest tasks of marketing, and that is helping people feel like they belong in your presence. So when we belong, we feel connected and safe. And relationship marketing is about making people feel like they belong. So, as we talked about, relationship marketing is about developing relationships more than selling. Really what we're talking about is building a web of contacts that trust us and that we trust them. And that's what's critical about this entire process. It's about recognizing that we can't do it all ourselves. We need to rely on other people. We need to rely on, if we're a hospital administrator, we have to rely on our physicians. We have to rely on our nurses. We have to rely on our facilitators like Pramod, who has a wonderful global reputation for taking care of his patients. That's why people go to Pramod. That's why they go to Placid Way, because he makes them feel safe and secure. He shares with them the potential risks. He lets them know about the possible downsides, but he shares with them an opportunity to change their lives, to save money, to get high quality medical care, and he does it in a way that makes them feel completely safe and secure. And I've got to believe that the reason he's successful is because he helps his patients feel like they belong. And he partners with hospitals and with healthcare providers who are successful at the same thing. That's very important. So when you show your patients that you care about their health and their happiness, they will do business with you. There are 3 important words in relationship marketing. So let's forget, if you don't remember anything else that I say today, if everything else, if you're tired, you need a cup of coffee, or you're not hungry, you're not feeling like you can remember anything, please write down these 3 words. Because if you remember nothing else, I want you to remember these next 3 words. Know, like, and trust. If our goal is to get a patient to say yes, we have to focus on these 3 words. No one will ever do business with us unless they know us, and after they come to know us, they need to like us. And if they come to like us, our next goal is to get them to trust us. That's my goal right now. Every time that I give a lecture, every time that I stand before a group of people, every time I build a website, I write an article, whatever we do, my goal is this. I want people to know me, I want people to like me, but most importantly, I want people to trust me, because no one will ever do business with me unless they trust me. And it's the same with you. If you own a hospital, or if you're a doctor, if you're an administrator, your job, and let me talk to doctors and dentists right now. Your job, through your websites and all of your promotional materials, is to help your patients come to know you. And if you go to some of the websites that we've developed for our patients, for our doctors, what you'll see is a difference. A lot of times you'll see the doctor's pictures like this. And you see this picture and you think, I'm going to let this guy operate on me? I don't know this man. And when we do websites, we take pictures sometimes of our doctors out surfing. Or we'll tell stories about him with his children on the weekends. Or we'll talk about him going surfing, or the last place that he went to travel, or that he loves wine. And what that does, as I believe what Pramod also said, it humanizes him. It makes the doctor human. And in this process, we want to humanize the process, but it starts by doctors admitting that we're human. That we have similar needs, that we have similar goals and desires. And when patients sense that, they now have a way to talk to you. It's a door opener. We have one dentist that we work with out of Costa Rica who's a surfer. He's a young, good-looking doctor. This doctor's practice has increased dramatically over the past year because we put in the website about how he loves to go surfing. And now when his patients call him, they say, hey, you're the surfing dentist. And that's opened up doors. It's helped them come to know him. And when they get to know him, they actually find that they like him. And by liking him, of course they're going to trust him. Because they already know that he has these great credentials. They already know he's a wonderful dentist. But we had to take them through the process of knowing, liking, and trust before we could get them to open the doors to say yes to doing business. No more beers. Okay. So people will only do business with people they know, like, and trust. Okay, now. And conversely, people will never do business with you if they don't know you, if they don't like you, and if they don't trust you. So sometimes saying too much can kill your business. A lot of times when we're doing business and we're creating a website, we think that putting so much information on our website is the best. We want to fill our website with every possible bit of information about our hospital, about the things that we do, about the quality of our care. And what we forget is, they were willing to say yes 20 minutes ago. And now you've forced them to rethink their decision about yes. So it's about creating an opportunity to build a relationship, to get them to say yes, and then knowing when to stop. That is the essence of relationship marketing. So how do we build our know, like, and trust factor? 88 to 92% of all patients will learn about you online. I'm going to say that again, just in case any of you are missing the two big 8s up here. 88% of all of your potential customers will learn about you online. So, in order for your customers to choose you, for them to say yes to you, they have to come to know you. And the only way that they're going to come to know you is if you exist online. So if you don't exist online, you don't exist, period. And if you want American and Canadian customers to know you, you must exist in English online. And when I say you must exist in English, I don't mean, hey, my brother-in-law has a nephew's cousin's next-door neighbor's niece who knows how to make a website, and she speaks okay English, so I'm going to have her, you know what, it's only $350 or $500, so I'm going to hire her to do my website, and she's going to do the translations. That's fine if, in fact, you decide that you never want to do business with Americans. If it's okay that you just create a website that no one ever reads, or you create a website that doesn't build respect and trust, that's okay. But if your goal is to reach the 88 to 92% of Americans and Canadians who will find you online, you need to invest in a high-quality website in perfect English. Or if not in perfect English, at least in American English. So, how do we get patients to know you? Would you trust a complete stranger to care for your health? Would you purchase health services for your loved ones from an unknown website? And would you let a doctor perform surgery on you if you've never heard or seen this doctor before? How many of you would say yes to any of those? Would you let a doctor that you've never met perform surgery on your child? No one. And yet, that's exactly what we expect when we build a website that doesn't tell us anything about the doctor. We share no personal information about the doctor, and we expect people to say yes to traveling from their country to come to our country and to submit themselves to the risk of surgery to a doctor they don't know. So if the goal is to be able to know someone first, when someone comes to your website, how likely are they able to know you from visiting your website? Take a minute when you get back home today, all of you who have websites. First of all, how many of you have websites for your businesses? How many of you have websites in perfect English for your business? Okay. Now, how many of you can answer this question? When you get home, please look through your website and pretend that you don't know anything about your company. And ask yourself if you would be able to come to know you, to know the quality of care, the quality of your doctors on a personal relationship level by going to the website. Knowledge is power. And when you help customers know you, you give them an opportunity and you give them the power to say yes to you. So think about the way that you want customers to know you and to perceive you. And when you get home today, write down a couple of sentences about the way you want your customers to know you and to perceive you. It doesn't need to be a lot, but take a couple of minutes to ask yourself, how do I want someone to think about me? We should ask ourselves this every single day, but particularly with our business. How do we want people to know us? That is your brand. The way you want people to perceive you and know you is your brand. So when your customers know your brand, you've accomplished the first step in relationship marketing. If your customers never know or recognize your brand, on the scale of know, like, and trust, if they don't know or recognize your brand, they will never come to trust your brand. And so the problem is that very, very few hospitals, healthcare organizations, surgeons have any sort of reputation or brand in the United States or Canada. So how can we get them to know you and to like you and to trust you if they don't even know that you exist? So the key is this brand creation. How are we different? How are you different? How is your experience different? What we want to focus on is 3 letters. USP. Unique selling proposition. That's what makes you different. What makes you different? What makes you better? It's not just enough to be different. You need to be better. And when you can show whether it's better pricing, better quality care, better service, better results, better patient experience, whatever it is, find how you want people to define you, how you want them to know you. That is your brand. That is what separates you from your competition. And if you look at all of your competitors and you can't see a difference between you and your competitors, if I look just like the guy standing next to me and just like the guy standing next to me, how are they going to choose from 3 exactly identical people? They can't. And we expect them to choose, but we give them no tools to help them choose. So the key is to differentiate yourself in such a way that the choice becomes very clear. And what we end up doing most of the time is we want to be like everyone else because we think there's a lot of company in the center. I'd rather be the guy way off in the corner getting 5% of the business than the guy in the center with 100 other people getting 0% of the business. Know your market. Know what you're excellent at. Know what drives your business, what will make you successful, and what makes you happy. Because when you do things with passion, your customers and your patients will know that, they'll see it, they'll feel it, and they want to be a part of it. People want to be associated with passionate people, with people who love what they do, and doctors are no different. If you love what you do, people will want to be part of you. And those are the real success stories. Those are the doctors that we see on television news at night because they're passionate about what they do. They're driven by what they do, and everyone wants to be a part of that. That, I would say to you, is probably one of the most important things that you can do. And that is the essence of your brand. So as we talked about, having a website in poor English does the opposite of your goal. It creates a lack of trust. Consumer branding is the first step to relationship marketing. How to get your patients now, we've talked about how to get them to know you. Now, how do we get them to like you? Give your patients a reason to say, wow. Know what that is. Sometimes it's like we talked about earlier, sitting down for a few minutes or sending that follow-up email. Knowing their name when they come to the airport, knowing their name before they even walk in the door. As Juan Pablo talked about earlier, how easy it is today with technology to go on and to friend someone on Facebook and to know what they look like. It happened to me recently when I was in the Bahamas. Someone picked me up at the airport and they knew automatically what I looked like. And I said, how did you know that it was me? I didn't see a sign with my name. He pulled out his phone and it had my picture from Facebook on his phone. He said, I just look at this and compare it. I hold it up like this and hold it to people as they're walking through the airport. And that's how he found me. That took him 2 minutes. And I will use that reference in every one of my lectures from now forward because it proves a point. That when you take a couple of minutes to create a wow experience, when you make someone feel special, when you help them stand out, they feel great. And that is one of the key elements in a quality patient experience. And remember that more often than not, while the results of a surgery are very important, I've spoken with patients, as I'm sure Pramod has as well, patients that have had incredibly successful surgeries. I've talked with patients who have had amazing knee surgeries for $4,000, $5,000. Now that surgery in the United States would have been $25,000. But they got this surgery in Mexico for $4,500. They're happy with it. Their knee feels great. But then when you ask them about their experience, they say, oh, I'd never go back to them again. Well, why? Well, you know, they were supposed to pick me up at the airport. No one showed up. I was supposed to get phone calls from my family, but no one was allowed to get through because no one spoke English on the other side. And then when I was supposed to go back, a number of things happened to me that just made it, I missed my flight because they got me to the airport late. All of these things. Now, they had a perfect knee surgery, healthy, but they still said no to the experience. Why? Because they didn't listen. The patients, the doctors in the hospital didn't listen. It's easy to make one sale. Remember, the key to success is making multiple sales over a lifetime. I want to share one example. You're all familiar with Starbucks. Starbucks is where it's at today because it listened. It took the time to listen to its customers. And in one of its stores, customers came in and they wrote, you know what would be great? If you guys had free internet. We would come here and we would spend all day here buying coffee, buying scones, cookies, if you just had free internet. Well, those same two people also went to Borders and they put the same suggestions in their box. And they said, we would love to be able to stay here all day and drink your coffee and read your books and buy your books. And we would spend all day here if you just had free internet. Well, Starbucks did one thing different. They listened. They actually put in internet in all of their cafes around the world, and they offered it for free. Borders had the same suggestion, and they said, hey, you know what? Free internet, that's going to be an incredible cost for us. It's going to be too much of a maintenance issue to get people you have to give keywords. We're not going to do it. And now, how many of you have been to a Borders bookstore lately? They're out of business because they didn't listen. They had a simple opportunity to listen and to change something, and they chose not to. So now today, Starbucks is in practically every corner of the world, and Borders no longer exists. Stand out. Be different. But again, it's not about just being different. If your only job is to get attention and to be different, you're going to fail. The key is to prove quality in your difference, to show why you're better. No one chooses different for different's sake. No man ever goes to a dance and says, I'm going to choose to dance with the most different girl. No woman says, well, I'm going to marry this guy because he was different. They want different, but they only want different if different is better. If different is no longer better, different is no longer good. So consequently, in our value proposition, we need to prove how we're different, but how this difference makes us better. Now I want to talk a little bit about online marketing relationship strategies. This one's very easy to remember, vibrant. We want everything that we do to be vibrant, and that means we need to focus on video, information marketing, blogging, relationship marketing, article marketing, networking, and telephone calls. These are all things that we can do. And I'm going to go over this quickly. Video marketing. Video marketing is so important. And I hope that each of you, if you don't have videos in place, in good English language videos, this is something really to focus on. It's a critical element for success today. Cisco, the leading company on the internet, is predicted by 2015, 80% of all internet traffic will be video-based. That's 2 years from now, 80% of all of the world's internet traffic will be video-based. So if you don't have video of your company, you're going to be missing out on 80% of the potential market that would be doing business with you. So video marketing is critical to your success. Information marketing. Just went to skip past that. Information marketing. Share content. It's not enough just to start to sell. When we want people to pay attention to us, we have to create content that gets people to be interested in us. Put articles out there. Help people make the right decisions. That's what content and information marketing is all about. Blogging. Have an opinion. Be willing to build a relationship. But don't start a blog if your goal is to do it for 1 week and then that's it. If you're going to be doing this in your organization, make sure that you choose someone who knows how to do blogging and who loves to write. Because if you don't like to write, blogging is going to be awful. You're really going to hate it, and it's not going to be successful. So get someone who loves to blog, who loves to write, and that will be a successful tool for you. Relationships, rave reviews. Again, build relationships. Try to get people to see and to give them a wow experience. That's how you build relationships. Article marketing. Public relations is critical. We want people to understand us in a very deep sort of way. That can't be done just by advertising. It's about article development. It's creating stories. As a matter of fact, I've got over here, if any of you are interested, just in the past 4 months, we've developed articles for Newsweek magazine, for Latitudes magazine with American Airlines, Delta Sky magazine. These are publications that have reached over 24 million people in the United States, and in the past 6 months have helped our clients. These are the kinds of things that we can do, and that you should be focused on, getting articles, because you don't trust advertising. How many of us believe every single ad we read? None of us. Now, how many of you believe the articles in your newspaper? How many of you believe when you read the Wall Street Journal, or La Prensa, or Washington Post? We all believe those because they don't have an agenda. And so when our companies are inside of these articles, it conveys legitimacy. It says to people that we are who we say we are, we're legitimate. And so public relations and article marketing is a critical piece of public relations and of market growth. Networking, social networking. If you have a Facebook page, fantastic. If you're ignoring your Facebook page, not so fantastic. There are lots of people who have Facebook pages, and I think it's great. Laurie, you had such a wonderful Facebook page. 31,000? How many? 38,000. I don't want to miss the 7,000. But when you think 38,000 people, that's a huge amount of people that she can reach every single day if she wants to. It's about putting that message out there, but she didn't get that by constantly putting out messages about how great they were. I'm sure that was built because people came to trust them because they put out quality information about stem cell research. That's key. And then telephone calls. Very basic. If you don't have an 800 line, today, get one. Go to Vonage, VONAGE.com, Vonage, and order an 800 telephone line. It'll cost you, I think, $20 a month, and you can put it in your office, wherever you're located, anywhere in the world, but certainly here in Panama and Colombia. If you put that adapter in your phones, you can have your clients call you from anywhere in the United States and Canada for free, and it costs you $20 a month. I'm going to share with you a secret about Americans. Some of you will already know this. This might be a surprise for some of you. We're afraid of telephone calls. We are afraid of international telephone calls. I come from a family of 10 children. I have 9 brothers and sisters. And I have lived in Costa Rica for 5 years. I have received phone calls from 2 of my brothers and sisters. And the only time I received those phone calls was when they thought that my mother was dying because she was staying with us. Otherwise, they're afraid to dial 001 and then the numbers that follow because they think it's going to cost them a fortune. So they won't do it. Even though we've had free telephone lines for 5 years, they're still afraid of it. Now I give them an 800 line, I can't stop them from calling now. They call every other week. They call my father. They're on the phone 2 or 3 times a day, different family members. That's because we've opened an opportunity for communication. I could have said to them, hey, call me on my other lines. You know how to do this. But they wouldn't have done it. It's the same thing with communications as it is with telephone calls as it is with social media. We have to recognize how people want to communicate with us. I have nephews and nieces that have my email address, but they will never send me an email. But they'll talk to me 3 times a day on Facebook. Now, I can try to get them to send me an email. They won't do it. So what do I need to do? If I want to have a relationship with my nephews and nieces, I talk to them on Facebook. And it's the same thing with us. If we want a relationship with our patients, we have to develop relationships on their terms. We don't decide how we build relationships. Our patients decide. And again, that's listening. Trust. Honesty is essential for trust. Always put honesty above the sale. Patients will value you and trust you. And when they trust you, they will do business with you. When you earn their trust, you will earn their business. And when you're interested in relationships, honesty is crucial. Now I have a video. It's about 30 seconds. I have a couple of videos here. It's a little bit crude, so I'm going to play it for you. I'm never sure sometimes if I should play this video, but it's so funny. And it talks about honesty in relationships. Hopefully the audio is working because that's an important piece of this video. But I want you to pay attention and focus on honesty in this video. And hopefully you'll be able to see it. Oh, video is missing. Son of a gun. Let me try. No. Okay. Well, let me explain the video for you. It's not nearly as funny when I explain it, but it's still pretty funny. So, there's this guy who's picking up his girlfriend for a date. And they're walking down the front steps to the car. And he's saying, oh, honey, how was your day? Everything great? And so he opens up the door. And she gets into the car. And he closes the door. He's walking around the backside of the door. And she's kind of watching him in the mirror. But she has to pass some gas. And so she lifts up her leg a little bit and and what ends up happening is the husband walks around, the boyfriend walks to the other side of the car, opens it up, and he gets inside and goes, whoo! So, Did you meet Joe and Sue in the back? There were two people in the back of the car. And she said, oh yes. They said, oh yeah, we met. So again, she was trying to hide something. And what ends up happening when you hide something? Everyone learns about it. One way or another, it became an embarrassing situation. You'll have to go online and see this video. It's hilarious. It's only about 30 seconds. So how do we achieve successful relationship marketing? Approachable branding. People do business with people that they like. That's a simple, basic rule of business. If people don't like you, they're never going to trust you, and they're never going to do business with you. So your job is very simple. Get patients to like you. A website is your core marketing tool. Be clear, what makes you different? What makes you better? Simple, easy to use websites with grammar, easy to use navigation. These are the keys for a really good website. Website should be warm with people. It should try to use humor if you can. We think that just because we're in healthcare that we can't be funny. I would say to you that there is no business that can make greater use of humor than healthcare. These are such difficult days. People need to laugh. People need to feel good. And you have this opportunity to help them understand a little bit about you, but also to help them see themselves in a different way. And when we help people laugh, we open up a part of ourselves that embraces the world. Because no one laughs alone. We all laugh together. And what it does is we embrace things as a community. And so consequently, when you can use sincerity and warmth and some humor in your website, you open up opportunities to relationships. Your website should have, these are some basic tips. Your website should have photos of smiling doctors. No one wants to see doctors like this. What I want to see on your website, is I want to see photos of the doctors with their arms around you, smiling, handshaking. If you've got video, I want to see people laughing. I want to see patients having a great time. Because I'm not going to get in an airplane and travel for 9 hours to feel like I'm going to be met by a doctor who won't smile at me, who won't be able to laugh with me, who won't make this difficult decision just a little bit lighter. And when we can laugh, we create a lighter mood. We create opportunity for friendship. And nothing builds long-term relationships in business more than friendships. Have valuable content. This isn't about just selling yourself. Put out content that you think will drive people to your site. Not only is it good for your potential customers, but it's great for search engine optimization, which is critical for your website. When you put a lot of good quality content on your website, you attract people who might not otherwise find you because they're going to see your website. Honest patient experience. Jill talked a little bit about this with risks. It's great to be able to talk about all the wonderful things, but let's be honest about where we're at fault. Some places simply are not doing a great job. Let's not try to sell what we're not. Also, it's good to be honest about where our shortcomings are. Hey, you know what? We haven't got it quite down yet to pick you up at the airport, but we hope that we can pick you up from your hotel. Great. If you can't get people at the airport on a regular basis, don't advertise it. Be honest about your patient experience, because you give them a chance to say yes or no, but you get them to say yes or no by being honest. If you get them to say yes to you on false pretenses, it will be the last yes that you hear. Everything else will be a no that follows. Assess and honestly communicate the patient experience. Failure to communicate with your website is a failure to connect, period. If your website does not connect with your market, you're not connecting at all. I don't care how good your cluster is. I don't care how good your hospital is or how good your service is. If your website is not communicating your unique value proposition, it doesn't matter. Take it down, because you're actually better off with no website than a bad website. Failure to communicate through the internet, through your website, is a failure to communicate, period. So, review your website. Is your website only concerned with sales, or is it about building relationships? When you can answer that, you're on the road to creating strong relationships. Build a strong social media base. Communicate frequently. Respond quickly. Do you know that if someone sends you an email or sends you an email via Facebook, if you respond to them within the first 5 minutes of them sending your email, you have a 95% closing ratio opportunity? 95%. Now, if you wait an hour to answer that email, it dropped down to 80%. If you wait a day to respond to that email, it's dropped below 40%. And if you wait more than 2 days, you're with everyone else at 15 to 20%. Even if they weren't committed to you to begin with, even if they weren't sure about your business because what they've seen online maybe wasn't all that, they weren't sure about it. If you respond to them within 5 minutes of their getting the email, you have a 95% chance of closing that sale. That's huge. So think about that, and how you address patient care, how you address response and lead nurturing is critical. Same thing with social media. Our social media sites are out there to respond quickly. If you can't do it, have someone who can. Even it's a matter of saying, we got your email, thanks very much. I see that you're calling or that you're emailing from this place. We're really looking forward to doing business with you. Diana from our office is going to be calling you in the morning. She really looks forward to your call. But you can expect your call between this hour and this hour. Great. You've just set up an opportunity for your patient care coordinator to make a sale, to build a relationship. Customer interactions via social media provide an opportunity to demonstrate that you're investing in a relationship. Social media helps people decide if they're going to do business with you. Not when, but if they're going to do business with you. Now I want to talk a little bit about website video marketing. Video allows people to see into your world. So what I want to do now is I want to show you a video. Oops. Nope.
Guarantee. We want you to have complete confidence in your decision.
10-year guarantee. Smiling, hug.
You always know that the Bahamas is an amazing place for sunkids and having beach vacations. But did you know that the Bahamas is also recognized for affordable world-class healthcare? There are hundreds of reasons to visit the Bahamas for medical care. We want to show you the top 10 reasons why healthcare is better in the Bahamas. The Bahamas Medical Center has assembled a team of some of the top specialists in their respective fields, like dental care, plastic surgery, bariatric surgery, anti-aging services, women's health services, orthopedic surgery, and more. We're confident that the Bahamas Medical Center is the best choice for you.
Now patient testimonials.
I came from the States, from Georgia. I have stayed office when I had it done in the States.
So now we'll talk about public relations. Public relations is storytelling for business. One of the goals is to connect with people on a personal level. When we work in public relations, it's about creating stories that connect with people. Every one of us has a story to tell. We have patients whose lives we've saved. We have people whose lives we've changed for the better. And yet, most of us never tell those stories. So how do we expect our patients to understand that we're different? How do we expect them to understand that we're better when we don't talk about the stories that demonstrate that we're different and better? Public relations is a great tool that helps us reach the media and to use the media, whether it's the internet, television, radio, newspapers, magazines, and helps us communicate on the value of relationships. And when we succeed in public relations, we succeed with helping people see our humanity, and we help them see that we're interested in a relationship. Here's some of the recent issues just over the past 6 months that we've developed through the Goodness Company for our clients. In Delta Sky Magazine, Newsweek Magazine, Latitudes Magazine. All of these are special editorial sections on medical tourism. We have 2 more issues coming up in the next 2 months, reaching 22 million Americans about medical tourism. This is a great opportunity to start to tell your story about why you're different and why you're better. And we're happy to help you with getting editorial to get your company in front of North Americans who really want to know about your company and learn how you can help them. So your goal, to connect with customers in a very personal way, to communicate your unique selling proposition and paint a picture of your customer experience. To succeed in medical tourism, we need to focus on delivering a relationship experience. And here is the very last piece of the talk. It's a video that demonstrates just how important relationships are today and how relationships have changed. Now think about this. When you see this, ask yourself, would this have happened even 5 years ago? So he's reaching into his pocket. Take a look at what he's doing. He's updating his Facebook status. This has got to be the United States. So now they've updated their Facebook status. The question for us to think about is, what is our relationship status with our patients? So, what's your relationship status? I invite all of you to think about the relationships that you have with your customers, with your patients, and to think about the relationship that you want to have. Who do you want to be? How do you want people to perceive you? And what are you willing to commit to building relationships with your patients? Because if you can build relationships, I'm convinced that every one of you in here can have a successful medical tourism business if you focused on quality and you focus on quality relationships. And that ends my talk. Thank you all very much. Thank you.